Hello, hello, my loves. Welcome to another video. This is going to be my January wrap up. If you have never seen or watched one of these videos before, my wrap up videos are pretty much me discussing the books that I read throughout the month, and then I will also talk about my TBR for the following month. If that is not something you're interested in watching, then please tune in to some of my other videos where I talk about tarot cards and being a tarot reader and all of that. But if you are here for the book content, I hope that you enjoy. So grab something to drink, grab a snack, get cozy, and let's talk books. Okay, so for the month of January, I originally had 5 books, like a goal of 5 books to read. And I did not hit the goal. I will definitely say that. As I'm filming this video, it is the 26th of January. So there's still a couple days left. So I still have the opportunity to finish one more book, which is my goal. But it will not put me at the 5 at the 5 goal. So I just wanted to say that ahead of time. I did not hit my monthly goal for January, which is totally fine. But we still read some really good books. I will have to say these books that I'm going to talk about are no less than 4 stars. So that's actually really exciting. And I have them written right here. So I started off the month of January reading the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I gave this one a 5-star rating. I read it from 2nd of January through the 9th. And it was the only 5-star rating book that I read this month, with the exception of the one that I'm currently reading, but we shall see. But it was really, really good. So the thing about this book, you guys, is, and ahead of time, I will not give spoilers. So if you have not read these books, I will not spoil it for you, I promise. I had the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires on my bookshelf for a good year, maybe a year and a half. I'm not really sure what year the book came out, but it was sitting on my bookshelf. And there was a point where I almost put it in the donation pile because I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to read it. And to be honest, I was kind of being the judgmental, judging a book by a cover kind of a deal. I don't really care too much for the cover. It just kind of threw me off. I knew it was a vampire book, but I just didn't feel the vampire vibe. Usually like a vampire cover is a little bit more dark or a little bit more, goth kind of a feel. And this one just didn't do that for me. So I wasn't drawn to it. And then, of course, I learned my lesson because this is one of those things where when I finally sit down to read the book, I realize just how good it was. And I could have had this exciting adventure reading this book a long time ago. It was a different twist to vampire stories. It had elements of horror in it. It also had elements of comic, so it was kind of funny in some parts, or at least my morbid sense of humor thought it was funny. It was dramatic. There were times where it was ridiculous. Like I was like, let me read that again. Like, did I really read that correctly? So there's some shock factor there, twists and turns. I will definitely say the second half of the book is really, really good. It's one of those stories that just grabs you in halfway through and you just can't put it down. So if you could get through the first half of the book, which is it's still good. It's just a buildup, like you're anticipating things to happen, but it doesn't exactly happen right away. But if you can get through the first half of the book, that second half, you will probably finish it in like a sitting or 2 sittings. It's really, really good. So love that one. The second book that I read is Sacred Lies of Minnow Bly. I gave this book a 4-star rating. I read it from January 10th through the 13th. So it only took me a couple days to finish this one. She was a chunky little book, I will say. She was a few, like 300, I think she was almost like 400 pages. And same thing with the previous book too. They were big books. And yeah, I enjoyed this book. It is a cult, the setting takes place in a cult, but you kind of get the story, the after story. So it's almost like you're trying to solve a case. I don't want to give away too much. So I will just say it's like a murder mystery. And you're looking at the aftermath. Okay. The reason why I gave it a 4-star rating is because of that. I wanted more of the cult experience. I wanted more cult experience. I wanted to know more about the cult, what was going on in the cult, why did this person not want to be in the cult anymore, like all of that stuff. And I feel like I didn't really get much of that from the book. There were like bits and pieces here and there, but it just wasn't a full-blown cult story. So that's why my 4-star rating is for that. Really, it's not a big deal. Like, other than that, the book itself was pretty good. And the ending, I was pretty pleased with the ending. So, it is what it is. But it only took me a couple of days to read it. So that was that one. Then I took a break. I actually, from the 13th through the 19th, I was just doing stuff with family. My sister was visiting. I had other things going on in January that made me a little bit less available to just sit down and read like I normally can. So I did take a couple of days to just have family time and all of that. And then I picked up the book, The Perfect Marriage. And I read this one from the 19th of January through the 25th. I gave it a 4-star rating. I literally just finished it last night. The Perfect Marriage is a murder mystery. It's like a thriller / murder mystery with like elements of romance, but not like a toxic romance. I had this book on my TBR for a long time, and it was again one of those books where I just never picked it up. And then until finally, when I finally decided to read it, it just surprised me of how good it is. So if you're looking for a murder mystery novela, like something that is going to just give you so much toxic drama and you're trying to figure out a murder and it's just all of those elements. If you really like that kind of stuff, this is a really good book. You'll really like it. But it is definitely a constant, fast-paced kind of a style of a book, which is what I like. And usually most thrillers are like that. Most thrillers are a fast pace. There's constantly something happening kind of a story. So I really appreciate those because especially if you're in a reading slump, which is kind of what I was in, it will get you out of it because you're so drawn into the story. So just keep that in mind. If you're in a reading slump, meaning if you are uninspired and nothing is grabbing your attention, my best recommendations would be some kind of juicy murder mystery is a really good way to go. So I finished that book last night. I wanted something different. I think I was kind of getting a little bit tired of the horror stuff. I mean, I love horror, so I can never get completely tired of it, but I think I wanted something a little bit different, and I'm trying to slide into more romance books for February because of the whole Valentine's Day thing. So I thought that The Perfect Marriage would be, a good book to kind of get me into that energy. But yeah, it was really good. So now today I am going to start another book, and I am going to start The Silver Kiss by Annette Curtis Claus. This book, I bought it on thrift books. It's a used book, obviously. I read this when I was like 12 years old. Like 12 years old, and I remember it was the very first vampire romance book I've ever read. And I remember the magic as a 12-year-old girl reading this, where I just was so like taken away by this crazy love story of like a vampire romance. Like, I mean, it's just a different type of a romance book, right? And when you're 12 years old, like you don't even know what romance is, you know what I mean? So I just remember the magic of reading this book back then. And I had this nostalgia feeling because it's like I've been into the vampire thing right now. I have a couple Dracula books that I've been collecting, and I just have been wanting to read a really good vampire book. I think it was the Southern Book Club, that book that really just drew me back into the vampire craze. And so I was like, let me reread one of my favorites and see if the magic is still there. So I'm really excited to dive back into this book because it's been many, many years, and I don't know, will this book still give me that magical feeling that I had back in the day at 12 years old, now as a 30-something-year-old woman? Is this book still going to charm me? So I'm really excited to see it, and I love this copy. The copy that I read, I remember it was a library book, and the cover was kind of like faded and old. And then when I was looking on thrift books and I saw this cover, I was like, ooh, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to vampire books. They're very dark. Usually they're like dark covers, and they have like a gothic feel. So I thought this was so beautiful. So I had to buy this edition, and it was only $3. So super excited. I will see if this is going to be a 5-star read or not. I'm definitely going to go into it like a whole new experience all over again. And it's a short little book, so it's a little YA book, so it shouldn't take me that long to read. So I kind of figure I have read four books for the month of January. So not bad. Not 5, but 4 is good. And yeah, so let's get into February. I actually have a big pile here of books because I have not decided. Now, I originally wanted to do thin, like more shorter story books for February because you kind of figure like February is it's like a short month, which actually this February we have the 29th. So it's not the 28th, it's actually the 29th. But there is a couple days less in February. So I kind of figured, okay, I do want to set a goal of at least 4 books for the month. We shall see. But I didn't want to do like chunky 400-page books. You know what I mean? So I have a couple here. Some of them are short. Some of them are longer than others. And I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. Maybe as I'm like talking about them, I'll figure it out. So the first book on my pile is called Fair Rosalin. This is I don't know if it's a retelling, but it's with the Romeo and Juliet world. Okay. The cover, like I said, I will tend to judge books by their cover. Like I will admit it. But this cover literally grabbed me in. It is so gorgeous. It is this like salmon pink color. You have beautiful, luscious roses, and then you have thorns, and oh my God, it's absolutely the most beautiful cover. So that literally was the first thing that caught me. And then I saw this: before Romeo loved Juliet, he loved fair Rosalin. So it's kind of like a little side twist of the story. Look at the freaking inside. I love roses. Roses are one of my favorite flowers. So I just couldn't get over how gorgeous this book is. But yeah, so this one, it sounds really good. I don't want to bore you guys by reading all of the stuff, but I'll read like maybe the first 2 sentences. It says, a shattering untelling of Romeo and Juliet. The first time Romeo Montague sees young Rosalin Capulet, he falls instantly in love. Rosalin, headstrong and independent, is unsure of Romeo's attentions, but with her father determined that she join a convent, this handsome and charming stranger offers her the chance of a different life. So you're getting like a whole different love story here. This one sounds really good. It sounds promising. I'm really tempted to read this one, but we shall see. Next is Bloom. This is another one of those gorgeous book covers. And it's a shorter book. So this one is probably going to be on my list because I definitely want to give myself a little bit of a break with the long stuff. But it says Bloom, when sweet romance turns deadly. Ooh. And one of my favorite authors, Rachel Harrison, she wrote, "Every page drips with delicious dread. This bite-sized tale is perfectly wicked." So that was nice. Look at the inside. What is it with these gorgeous inside covers? Oh, I love it. Okay, so this one says, Rosemary meets Ash at the farmer's market. Ash, precise, pretty, and practically perfect, sells bars of soap in delicate pastel colors, sprinkle spackled cupcakes stacked on scallop stands, beeswax candles, jelly jars of honey, and glossy green plants. Ro has never felt this way about another woman. With Ash, she wants to be her and have her in equal measure. But as her obsession with Ash consumes her, she may find she's not the one doing the devouring. Told in lush, delectable prose, this is a deliciously dark tale of passion taking an unsavory turn. That sounds really, really good. I probably will just add this to the TBR because I think I definitely want to read that one. So I love it. This is the third book in the Bargainer series that I'm reading. I did not read this one in January because I wanted to focus on some other stuff. And since the Bargainer series is like a romancy kind of a series, I figured it would be perfect for February. And it is also the smaller book. So maybe this one will go on the list too. It's called The Emperor of Evening Stars. So I'm not going to read what it's about because it's book 3. And if you haven't even read the first one, you won't even understand. But let's just say it's a pretty good series. It's dark fairy erotica and I really enjoy it. So maybe that'll be one of them on my list. Nosferatu. So I was really drawn to the cover of this book. This is like one of those vintage finds on eBay. And I love it. It says, the haunting and eternal story of the undead master suffering for love. So it is definitely a love story, vampire style. And Nosferatu is one of those, to me, like those classic vintage vampires. Not sure if I want to read this for February or if I want to save it for October. So we shall see. I don't know yet, but I love a vintage cover. Speaking of erotica books, another erotica series that I was reading is the Barbarian Lovers series, The Aliens. This is book 3 of it. I think it's book 3. I think that's as far as I got. So it's a shorter story. And it's usually a pretty quick read. It's really easy. It's very erotic. It's very sexual. So I might read this one. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be in the mood for it, but we'll see. And then, of course, the only long-ish book on my pile that I am absolutely going to read is The Vampires of El Norte. So this one is a vampire love story. It takes place in the, like, I think it's New Mexico. Yeah, in the 1840s, Mexico. So, oh my gosh. So it's like one of those historical, I don't know, well, I guess it would be considered like a historical fiction. I love that idea of like imagining it in my mind back in the day. I hear it's a really good book. I've seen pretty good reviews on it. So we shall see. It is a chunky one. So this book, how many pages are you? 370 pages. So it is a big one, but I figure if I'm putting in smaller stories, it probably won't be that big of a deal. So, and I definitely want to read this one. I think I'm going to start off February with that one. So those are all of my books on my February TBR. I don't know yet which ones are going to make it, but I just thought that I would share with you guys my little pile. The reason why I'm going hard with the love stuff for February is because obviously Valentine's Day is on the 14th. And February just has always felt like a love month for me. It's my birthday month. So I kind of wanted to also do some kind of Pisces theme as well. I haven't really picked anything. Maybe I'll look for a mermaid romance or something. I don't know. We'll see. But I've just been putting books aside for the month that I thought would be good, and then I'll have to sit and like choose, you know. But to me, February is definitely the month of love. And so I thought romance would be a good way to go. A vampire romance. So anyways, that's pretty much it. That is my little monthly wrap up. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are doing well. If you are reading anything really, really good, what are you reading? What is catching your eye? Are you reading a certain genre right now? And do you have your February TBR pile ready to go? What are you going to be reading? Are you focusing on romance and all of the good stuff? So anyways, my loves, I hope you guys are doing well. And yeah, I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye, my loves.